Hi guys, welcome to another video here.
3, 2, 1, start!
Now the keen eye among you might see that I've started this game in sandbox mode. The reason for that is with the Steam release, a lot of you guys have never played before, and the tutorial in game does do an okay job at explaining how to play, but it's not as informative as playing PvP and, you know, racking up hundreds of hours, which I have done. To date, I have over 600 hours on Settlers, and yeah, it's quite a lot. So, I'm going to try and break down the game very simply from the very beginning, and just try and explain the basic mechanics. And I've entered sandbox just so that there's no rush. So, first of all, I'm going to pretend you've never played Settlers before. So if you have played Settlers before and you know the basics, you can skip this bit. Fortunately, PlayStation's let me do timestamps, so just guess. Or just stick around and I'll explain it. So, these here, which you can change, mine are different to what you originally start with, but in all games they're sort of like pegs or a border. This determines where you can build. If I try and select a logging camp and build outside the border, you can't. In previous games, you could expand your border with pioneers, or by building a tower, which extends your range. Still true in this game, you can still expand by building close to the border. Any building will now extend your border outwards. The best way to do it nowadays is with your engineers. These guys are multi-skilled. You will use these guys for building, for expanding, for seeing what ore is beneath a mountainous terrain or ore deposit, and they can also pick up goods that are on the ground, unlike carriers. Carriers will extract anything that's just on the ground that was dropped by a building or something like that. There are things you can deposit goods to that have like a cache inside them, and only engineers can pick those up. Settlers won't go there. Your engineer can pick it up, drop it in your territory, and then a settler will pick it up. But these guys can grab something that's not. This map is a good example. This is a cache. Once you deliver 2 hammers, you get access to 20 planks, which for this map is quite decent. So once you've delivered the 2 hammers using the engineers, your engineers can then bring back the planks. Quite straightforward. Now you do start with 12 a dozen, and if all of these die, you will have no way to build a building, which means you can't expand because you can't build anything or push the borders out. You're effectively stuck with whatever you build at that point, so you must keep these guys safe. This building is your warehouse. Every single good that isn't being used or delivered somewhere to be used will be stored in here, outside of whatever a building naturally holds in its inventory. You start with some basic building materials, so some logs, some planks, some stone, and some fish. They are your basic building materials. Planks and stone. Logs will be turned into planks, and you do use some in research and things like that. But essentially you want to make most logs into planks, which are then your basic building resource. Hammers you use for various research, as well as making more engineers, and a couple of buildings need it. As I said, research uses hammers quite a lot. And that's it. I'll go into the rest later, I won't delve too much just now. So as I said, planks and stone are your basic resource. You can see them on the top menu. Up there you also have access to, at least on PlayStation, 1 to 6, which is where you can set your troops, create a group, as you can see, create 3. Now if I ever press right, it will select that. You can also create a group with a building, which will then put you to that building. So,
Any orders?
as you can
We're
see, you can swap
prepared.
between your groups.
I love
Very
to be
useful
pleased.
if you go halfway across the map, and then you want to pull back.
Higher village. It's quite amazing.
Number 3 there, that's how many soldiers you have.
Any orders?
So as you can see, you start with 3 archers. These are your basic defense,
As long as there's
and you start with 3 of them in every game. Next to that is your engineer count. As we said, that's 12. Settler count, 50 out of 58. These guys are settlers. Like your engineers, these guys perform a very valuable role. They will manage buildings, carry goods between buildings. They're your lifeblood of your civilization, or your base, or whatever you want to call it. These guys are needed for everything. You also start with 4 donkeys, as you can see up there. They can carry 8 goods using like a little barrow on the back. They are a little bit glitched at the moment. They don't always work as they should.
Go to the training ground someday.
As you can see, when these guys don't have a job to do, they'll just chill out, play songs, talk to each other, talk about how what a great day it is, that kind of thing. Just chill. You always want a couple free, because they need to be available to do jobs for you. If they're not stood around or carrying, they will do an actual job. So they can become a baker, they can become a weaponsmith, they can become an axeman, a hunter, whatever. These guys are very talented. As I said, planks and stone, that's next on the list. Hammers, which you need for a few things. Then bows, shields and axes, which are your 3 main weapon types for your 3 warrior types. So, how do we get started? Every game, I recommend building this sawmill first. As you can see, we have logs available straight away. So you want to build a sawmill to turn those logs into planks. As you press square, you get all these different menus of what you can build, and the demolish button. This is the first one you want to do. These are your basic items you'll need to run any civilization. As you can see, we've got the sawmill building now. The settlers will grab the resources, deliver it to the building, and then your engineers will slowly but surely craft it. So let's watch them do that.
I should go to the training ground someday.
Excuse me.
You can also select it to the progress. Once it's done, it finishes,
None of my friends.
and the engineers come away.
When
As
did
you
stop
may
asking
have
me for
seen,
directions?
those 3 settlers there all turned into sawmill workers, and they're now ready to begin work. And they stand in various positions for a various job.
As long as there is peace. I'm
However,
fine.
if I zoom out, you can see this little symbol here, which kind of looks like a cannon, but I think it's meant to symbolise a dirt path. And if you hover over it, this building is not connected to a warehouse, connected to a road. So,
The villages.
unlike when they're building something, they will not bring goods to it, and they have no way of bringing goods out of it. So you have to create what we call a dirt road.
I can carry.
When you select the dirt road, you'll see all the hexes that you can build on, and you'll see these little arrows that show where goods go in or out. You have to connect your arrow to your arrow. Generally, if you point it that way, it'll build the quickest line there for ease of access. So for now, we can just join these with a little road.
What a
And the
refreshing
engineers
breeze.
will also build that road, because it's a building, technically. And as you can see, settlers will now go into the warehouse, pick up goods, and bring it to the sawmill. There we go. And our first line of construction is complete. As you can see, it can hold 5 logs, so they're bringing 5 logs, and the output is 5 planks. You can also see the fish symbol on the left with a square button. If you press square, they can use fish to speed up the production of the building. At the top there, you can see its productivity, and at the moment,
What a beautiful day.
it's showing how far along it is in the process of making those logs into planks. So at the moment it's working at 15%, and that will slowly increase as it gets more and more logs in, and
Did you
it
see the guild master?
runs up its production.
Did you see the guild
If you have a
master?
constant source of logs, which for a little bit we will, that will hit 100%, and then that's it. Now, if you press square, and you can see which settlers are devoted to that building while you select it, those people are grabbing fish, and they're bringing fish to the building. A building that is boosted will, in general, produce twice the amount of resources outwards. In this case, we're putting 3 fish in. That's generally the maximum it can hold. And as you can see, there's a little timer, and that's how long it's boosted for. And you get these little particles to show it's boosted. If a building is boosted, like I said, at the bottom there, you get 2 times planks. So for every log that goes in, you'll get 2 planks out. So boosting is very beneficial. There's quite a few buildings that boost, and I'll try and go through all of them as we select them. So, our sawmill's up and running. It's turning all our logs into planks, which we can then use to build other items. Now, in here, and on the L2 and goods menu, and just select anything that will show you the general goods, you get little arrows to show you whether or not you're increasing production or decreasing production. As you can see, planks are going up. Now, the other menu showed 42, this is showing 40 because those 2 haven't been in the warehouse yet. But the production's going up because we're creating planks, and logs are going down because we're decreasing logs. Naturally, you use a woodcutter, or a logging camp in this case, to gain logs. There are 2 types of trees on the map. Technically there's like 3, but essentially there's only 2 types. There's a normal forest, or a normal tree, and then there's a regrown forest, or a regrown tree. If I come over to here, on this map, these forests are regrowing, which means once you cut down the tree will regrow. These trees, being on like a sandy clay subject matter, and being like pine trees, these guys will not grow back. They don't have the capacity to just regrow from the soil they're in. So for these guys, when we use our logging camp, these trees will not regrow. Something very important to keep in mind. There aren't a lot of maps where there aren't any regrown trees. This is one of the few where you don't have regrown trees that are close to hand. So we'll put down our logging camp to gain logs, and then again we'll connect the path to the sawmill so that the logs can be carried to the sawmill. And again, you want that path connected to the warehouse as well, so that any spare logs can be given to the warehouse and stored for when we do need them later on. So let's watch them build the logging camp. Gonna try not to go too quick for you guys. I'm used to, you know, building 50 buildings in the first 20 minutes. Try to be as quick as possible. I'll try and slow this down for you guys.
I can carry any burden.
So there we go, progress bars going up. They are quite quick. The more engineers that go to a building as well, the quicker it will be built.
The village is growing.
As a standard, your engineer will be on automatic build. As you can see, toggle auto on and off. When they're on auto build, they'll automatically go build stuff, and generally you'll get the maximum amount of engineers you can to a building. So if it requires a maximum of 5 people will go and build that. You can turn this off and manually tell people to build things, and generally that probably would be more productive, but you then need to be a lot more hands-on with what you tell them to do. And if you have forgotten that an engineer's around, you know that engineer's not doing anything. So auto is generally the best for beginners and even intermediate players, and then in the very best people will manually use all engineers at all times. It's a lot of work. I don't recommend it. I certainly don't use it that way. If I want someone to do something manually while they're on auto, I'll select them manually and then go tell them to do a job, and they won't go back on auto until that job is finished. So, woodcutter's built. There's 2 woodcutters. They'll gather logs, bring them there, and our chain is complete. We're gaining logs, which means we're gaining planks, and planks are being stored in our warehouse. As you saw, just select the engineer, press L2 to gain the job wheel, Now, generally, if you hover over mines, it will change to go prospect that mine. If you select a building, it would select build that mine, and if you select a good in the ground, it will say go pick up that good. For expanding your territory, you will need to select it. Just hover over the claim button, the little flag, select any square with an X in it to say start expanding there, and they will expand from the point that you click in a general circle. If you want a straight line somewhere, select as far away as you can get, and they will go straight to that line in as sort of straight a line as they can. Then when they hit that space, they'll start the circle. So if you're building a path all the way out here, you'll have to tell them to go here. Then when they hit that spot, reselect them, tell them to go here, and so on and so forth, and they'll build a straight line. They can only sort of go or accept commands in a certain area, so, you know. But as you can see, he is expanding that border on that side, and we've got a lot of free engineers. In general, try and keep everyone busy. I'm not, just because I'm taking it nice and slow to explain to you guys how to play. So, we've got our basic resource chain set up. We're gaining logs, and we're increasing our production of planks. As you can see, however, our logs still have the down arrow. The reason for that is because one woodcutter and one sawmill generally aren't enough to keep the sawmill busy. One woodcutter simply doesn't chop enough trees down to keep this guy running all the time. They will probably turn a log into a plank every 20 seconds, and a woodcutter cuts one log down every minute. So in general, they're not doing anything for 40 minutes. If you build 2 woodcutters for every sawmill, then you're looking at 2 logs every minute, including the transportation time to transport the log from the woodcutter to the sawmill, and that generally works quite well. I think the general rule of thumb that we use on the Discord group is you want 1 more woodcutter than you do sawmills, maybe 2 if you're looking at like 3 or 4 sawmills. But there's always debate on that, because depending on what map you're on and how fast you're getting the logs and whether you're boosting the woodcutters, that can all change. So in general, just keep an eye on this and it will tell you whether or not production is going up or down. For this map, I recommend the 2, to be honest with you. That should be enough. Now, you can connect the path to here, which is perfectly fine, or you can connect the path straight to your warehouse, again, which is perfectly fine. In general, I will make them walk a little bit further and then continue the path, rather than go straight to it, because where this path is, you can't build in it. So this space here is wasted. So I'd rather them walk an extra few hexes and keep this space free to build in than I would to have loads of paths everywhere and reduce the amount of space I can build on. So we've got our 2 woodcutters, we've got a sawmill, that's brilliant. What about stone? As I said, stone's one of the other basic resources. This is a stone boulder. This is a stone boulder, this is a stone boulder, same with this, same with this. They're generally in these whitish areas. Unlike the mining area, they don't have this little glow around it to show that there's like precious stuff there. And you'll see these little rock piles of granite or rock or whatever.
What a refreshing
These guys will use quarry. 2 workers, 5 planks. These guys don't take stone to build, which is great, because the last thing you need is to run out of stone and then not be able to build your quarry. These guys will mine 1 stone a minute, unboosted. Again, I recommend at least 2. So let's do 1 there and 1 there. Same again. Connect this to the warehouse. Connect this path to this path to leave this bit available, and we should be good to go. What I also like doing is connecting these paths, just in case they want to carry it from there to here, or on this path. All paths connected just means better transport. But again, what you don't want to do is build paths here, there and everywhere, because then you're creating less space to build on. Usually what I do is put a circle all the way around the warehouse. You don't need to, but then you create like spider path branches off it, going in different directions for different resources or things you want to do.
This one.
But again, I wouldn't do these branches until you know what you're doing, or what you're using in that area. Now the reason I'm going to leave this one is because up here are my mines, and I know I'll need this path later, so I'm going to build that now while we've got free space. Because we do want to transport goods up here, we can also do the same thing down here, so build a path going this way, because of the resources this way we'll need to grab later. You can have one down here. This is a coastal area, so there's going to be fish here, which as you saw we need for boosting. So we do want to come this way, but we haven't unlocked the area yet, so because I don't know where I'm building yet, I'm not going to build the path yet. In general, you want your building first, then the path, just so you know where you're navigating.
What's up?
Let's borrow this guy, and start expanding there. As you can see,
If
this
there is a
guy's
job
been
to
working
do, I can
diligently
get it
all
done.
this time. He's expanded all the way out here, and all of this area is now ours. And I'm just going to change where he goes. So I'm going to point in the middle of the forest and go claim,
Hard work
you know,
is good.
that circular area there for me.
Should go to the training ground someday.
As you can see, our quarries are
As
now
there's
built,
peace, I'm fine.
and the two stonemasons, I guess, are gathering stone. They're hacking away at bits of the boulder. You will see the boulders gradually get smaller as they break off bits and bring you back stone. Again, this is a building you can boost. If we use fish, we'll get 2 stone per minute as they work, and then they'll work a little bit faster. We have run out of fish now. We used all those initial fish that we had. So in general, it's a good idea to build your fishing huts as quick as possible to try and keep your boosted basic resource done as long as you possibly can. So that's probably what we'll work on next. As you can see though, we've gained 77 planks and we're on 45 stone. We haven't quite gained that because we started with some, but as you can see, planks have gone up quite a bit, so we now have more planks than we do stone. In general, that's what you want. I think in general buildings do use more planks than they do stone,
Heavy.
and wood is a lot easier to get than stone because of these stone deposits that do run out. So this map is a little bit different because on this map there is usually more stone at the beginning than there is wood, because the trees don't regrow. Once you cut them down, you start running out pretty quickly. But I'll explain the final mechanics more later on. For now, we're going to let this engineer work and get more space. Since we've got more
Is there
free
something to
engineers,
do?
I'm going to also grab these guys and get them to expand just to speed things up a little bit for us
Yes.
here. Again, you don't want to do this in PvP. You need as many people working as possible. You don't want them standing around or building roads that we don't need yet. And 23 minutes into this game, you should be well on your way to creating an army. You shouldn't have 5 buildings built and nothing else, but you know, that's why we're in sandbox mode. Okay, so as you can see, they've cleared this area here. Once they hit sort of the outside of the border, they just remove the border. So this is ours. There's no actual line in the sand now to say that, you know, where the border is, because it's gone. As you can see, we get a little notification that says we've done it. Press down to see where that notification is showing you. These guys are all without a job now because they've done what we asked them to do. So we've got basic resources up and running, and we want to boost them to try and get them as efficient as possible. So we can move over to our food tab and build a fisherman's hut. This will gather fish. As you can see, this little node here has fish in it, so do these two, so do these three.
We'll make nice.
A fisherman's hut will generally survive on 2 nodes at a time, without completely running out of fish to fish. So we can place 3 fisherman huts here for the 6 nodes. Now, what I've never asked anyone, and I don't know if it matters, but I don't know if it makes any difference to which way the fishing hut points. You know, can we point it this way? Can we point it this way? Which one's more efficient? Honestly, not a clue. I tend to point them sort of sideways, and then I don't think you can go that far wrong. So if we do 1, 2, and 3, that should be fine. As you can see, when trying to place the hut, there's this sort of star system. That just shows you how efficient the building is based on where you put it. Your logging camp will be needs placed by trees. If I try and build a logging camp up here, as you can see, the bar goes quite down, and that's because he has a long way to go before he gets to the tree. So the closer you build it, the more efficient it's going to be. You always want it in the 3-star region. So with this, the fisherman huts are quite close, so they should have, you know, quite quick production. As before, connect the huts, and then a path to the warehouse. I think the middle is a good spot to do that from. And we'll just bring this up through the trees and connect it to our warehouse so they can deliver the fish. And I'm going to show you the demolish button here. So, unlike the other menus, demolish just gives you a different cursor. Hover over what you want to destroy, press X. That will destroy the building. In terms of path, it shows you where you're starting from and then where you end. So that will destroy that path. If we had it extended more than one, it would destroy more than one path. I'm just going to build that back again, so that's all sorted.
Where can I help?
So as you can see, the engineers have made a dirt path, and that is our road there. Now, there is another road, as you can see, called a stone road.
I'll try
Connects buildings, speed bonus, and enables carts. If you build your roads made of stone, which bear in mind will use stone, so in general this isn't something you do want to do while you're still building, but if you wanted to, you could build a stone road. Again, if you hover over where you've already built, it should pick the same path. If not, if it tries to make a shorter path, it's because that's more efficient and less stone usage, and you can just build section by section to manually choose what to build in stone. If for some reason you need this hex free, and the entrance was next to it, and you wanted to do a longer road, you could do. Let's say this is 6, but we wanted a stone road that was like here, 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 here. We can do it manually, and yes, it will use more stone, but it's less efficient. But if we wanted a weird path for whatever reason, so there was a building that we wanted here, we can just do it manually, and it will do that for us. Right, so we've built this little stone path. As you can see, it's much nicer looking. It will also speed up our carriers by 10%. If they're running or walking on a little road, they are a little bit faster by 10%. It's just about enough that you can see it visually. The other advantage is they can use hand carts, so they can now carry 3 goods along a stone path, rather than the 1 good they can carry on a dirt path. There we go, that's the guy carrying his little hand cart, and there's 3 fish in the back of there. So rather than use 3 carriers, we're using 1 carrier with 3 goods.
I wonder if we'll ever find
a lot more efficient, but again, if you're trying to make stone roads in your whole camp or whatever, that's a lot of resources. I'd only do it between major points that really need that speed or need that 3 goods at a time. In general, it's not a good idea because there is a research that allows your carriers to use the handcarts even on a dirt road. So you don't get the 10% bonus, but they can carry the 3 goods. And in general, that's going to be a lot cheaper than you spending hundreds of stone to turn all your paths into stone paths. If you're a late game and you've got 200 stone and nothing to do with it, then fair enough, use it to build stone roads just for that 10% speed boost. Otherwise, the research is perfectly good. There's a lot of noobs that will build stone roads everywhere thinking, well, it's faster and my people are carrying more goods, so surely that's more efficient. Yes, but the free stone I spent here could be building another building that costs 3 stone. You know, if you build 20 stone paths here, that could be 3 defensive towers that could defend you from being killed. So, yeah, use the stone paths warily, I'd say. One of the only uses that I will actually use stone paths for is stone paths between my harbour and the warehouse if I haven't got the research done. Because if I'm trading those goods so I can get money, so I can speed up my research, or I need goods because I need army production straight away, then that stone is worth it. Because rather than using 200 settlers to carry 200 planks, I can use 66 settlers to carry those planks, and whatever. The other main reason I use stone roads is between my warehouse and my research. Just because the quicker that's done, the quicker your research, the more stronger you are, the better, you know, the better your economy, everything else runs. So, and both those buildings tend to be quite close to the warehouses. I can get them anyway, so that does tend to help. As you can see in the bottom left, that's our map. The blue area, because we're blue, defines where we are on that map. And I'm just bringing it closer to you so you can see. Right, our woodcutters are complaining that there's no reachable deposit in their territory. By deposit, these guys mean trees. As you can see, the tree is outside of our border. So to access these trees, we need to increase our border.
I can build almost anything. Can I carry
Now, this guy is still happy because we have logs in our storage. As I said, the 2 woodcutters completely doing fine. They're satisfying their sawmill, so even though they've run out of trees to cut, the sawmill has been kept busy, which is great. These guys will expand. These guys will suddenly realise, oh, there's a tree I can get to now, and they'll start work again. As I said, we are going to run out of trees, so once I've cut down these 6 trees here, we'll need to destroy these buildings because they're not going to have any trees, and build some more down here. One of the updates in 1.04, I want to say, or earlier, was the forest. Well, one of the very early ones was Forester. It wasn't very good because it was a woodcutter and forester in one, and it was very expensive. Either 1.04 or 1.05. No, it's 1.04, I think. Made the forester work like he used to. So as you can see, any of those bits that are in white there are where the forester can plant a tree. So now we can plant a forester by a woodcutter to keep the woodcutters in business, so we don't have to destroy the woodcutter. In general, they're still not very good, I don't think. They're still a lot slower than what I'd like, or don't have as big an area as I'd like. So I still don't use foresters, to be honest. I'd rather build 2 more woodcutters and then just let them cut down all the trees, so I've got that space to build in. And between the 3 forests you get access to here, there generally is enough wood if you boost your woodcutter. If you boost the woodcutter, every time he chops down a tree, he will gain 2 logs. As I said, if you boost your sawmill, you'll get 2 planks. If you boost both, the woodcutter will deliver 2 logs, and those 2 logs will turn into 4 planks. So you're gaining 4 planks a minute, based off 1 boosted woodcutter and 1 boosted sawmill.
Excuse me.
Obviously, if you can boost all 3, you're just winning. As you can see, we have 3 fishermen's huts. They're getting a fish a minute, so potentially we could boost all 3 of these guys now. So I'll boost the woodcutters, and we'll boost the sawmill, and we should be gaining 4 planks a minute, which is fantastic. Now I am going to build the forester just to show you guys how he will work. Again, he's not very efficient, but for you guys that are just beginning, this will work fine. So
I love ants.
I'll try not to share too many advanced tips, not to confuse you guys. This guy has nearly gained the entire circle here, so he's been working hard this whole time. So, we've got our basic production up and running. We've now boosted our buildings. A lot of people now are confused as to what to build next. And I don't blame you. In general, if you look at that top row, it will tell you what's needed. And at the minute, we know our resources are good, so we don't need to increase our basic production of resources. But if you look at our free settlers, that settler number with the Z's next to it, that's next to the main 50 out of 58, we can see our free settler count was hovering around 4 or 5. It jumped up to 7 briefly there, then down to 2. So we only have, you know, roughly about 5 free settlers that aren't doing anything. We do want to increase that, because if we want to build any more buildings, those free settlers will be used to do a job. So that's when we come to our residence. A residence is what you use to produce settlers. In typical fashion, you will never see a settler chill in a house. So I don't think they're procreating in the normal way. I think if there's a house for them, they just spawn out the air. You know, to quote Mulan, they're popping out the ground like daisies. So yeah, no idea how the magic of childbirth happens in a house, but simply put, if you build a residence, you will gain a set amount of settlers, which I think is 6 or 5 to begin with. We'll see once it's built. And you may have spotted there that if I put the other house next to the other one, it says bonus plus 2. If you build your residences next to each other, if your residence has a neighbour, it will gain a bonus to the amount of residents that it will pump out. So in this case, what I'm going to do is put a residence there and a residence there. They're all back to back, so they'll all be boosting each other. They're all neighbours. And again, there's little arrows to say where they're coming out of, so we'll connect this up like little streets. And once the building's built, new residents will come out the door and become part of your town. So our 50 out of 58 will increase, our maximum settler count will increase. You won't gain all those 8 settlers straight away. They do take time to spawn. 6 plus 6, there we go. So we get plus 6 settlers, so our count has now gone up to 64. As you can see, we're now on 59 and then 60. They're slowly coming out. The more residences you build, the slower it will be for them to spawn new residents. As you can see at the minute, every 5 seconds we get a new resident, and we're now producing more. As you can see, the plus has now gone up because these buildings are connected. When you build houses next to each other, they tend to get cute little decorations to show that they're next to each other.
Excuse me.
And we got a bonus to 1 living space by doing that. And these guys will be the same, so these guys will be plus 7 instead of plus 6 because they have neighbours, which is fine. As you can see on the timer as well, that's just 11 seconds into the next arrival. So because there's more residences, it's going to take longer to spawn those additional settlers. So, if you need settlers, it's best to focus on building quite a few residences in one go. It's just going to take time before you see that investment come back and you see new residents come.
Just takes easy.
So, free settler count is now up to 25. We've got residences that are pumping out citizens, and we now have 3 settlers that are just standing around doing nothing. And we want to give them all a job. No point claiming job seekers, you know, we want them to be working, like any good government.
Asking me for directions.
So the next building I recommend is a tool maker. As I said, you need tools for a lot of things, and having access to tools allows you to build more advanced buildings that we will need as we go along. So I'm going to get the toolsmith out of the way with. just so I'm producing tools off the spare resources that I have. You do want to keep an eye on it, because this guy will just keep using both stone and planks to make hammers, and he will go on for until you tell him to stop, or you stop delivering those goods. So you do want to be careful, because he will use a lot of stone and a lot of planks, and you could be using that for the buildings and have 100 hammers that you can't use. So do keep an eye on your hammer count, make sure it doesn't go too high. If you can see you've got plenty in reserve, turn him off temporarily, just so that you know you've got spare planks and stone for other things that you might need. Now I haven't actually mentioned how to turn a building off. If you select it on PlayStation, it's triangle, and you stop all production, the workers turn into normal settlers, and no goods will be sent to that building. Any goods that are already there will put back in the warehouse for other things. Press triangle again, and the free carriers will turn back into the workers, and they'll go back to work again. So if you don't want the tool maker to make tools, just press triangle or whatever it is on PC to turn it off, and they'll stop work for a little bit. As you can see, Toolmaker will use planks and stone and turn it into a hammer, and he's boosted by berries, which, surprise surprise, is another food item. If you scroll left and right onto your food item, there's a forager who produces berries. If you select the building, it will show you where the berries are on the map, which in this case is these white sort of bushes here. They have berries in them, and the forager will pick the berries, and then you can use the berries for various things. In this case, as you saw, the toolmaker will be boosted by berries, so it's probably a good idea that we get him then. As with the woodcutter and the stonemason, every berry will turn one hammer into two, so he will be doubly effective. He'll produce 2 hammers a time. Again, you're still using only 1 plank and 1 stone, so you just be more economical with those materials. So if you can boost something, always boost it, because you're being a lot more economical with the basic resource for that chain. For this area, I've built 3 huts to pick up the berries. In general, each forager hut will need 2.5 bushes. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bushes. So realistically, 7.5 berry bushes would be okay for 3. So for 8 bushes, 3 forager huts will be fine, because 7.5 is all you need to keep them guys busy. So 8 bushes, 3 huts should be plenty. If you went 4 huts to the 8 bushes, you would find that the berries hadn't regrown fast enough, so sometimes your workers will be idle. I'd rather them be busy all the time than have them busy then idle, busy then idle. Okay, I'm just going to grab these guys in time to expand up here while we look at what next to build. I think this guy finished as well, so that's all expanded to. We can increase our wood production again just by harvesting some of this wood. So again, draw a path. Everything here is connected. It's part of the production chain, yeah? These guys will be busy because the forest hut will plant trees, so at least that keeps them busy. As with the normal wood, these guys don't grow back. The forest is in charge of growing them back again. So once he's planted them, you can't get rid of him. The trees will not grow back on their own. He will need to tend them and love them and make more wood for you. And he generally will keep 2 woodcutters satisfied here, so he's doing a good job of it. So we're now making tools. Is there anything else off this menu we need? So stone mine is for mining stone out of the ground rather than in those piles. As you can see, our quarries have been quite busy and they've mined all the stone that's readily available. So we will need to find more stone. If we select our quarry, you can see the little bubbles to show you where it is on the map. And a little hint, top left corner, you can see there's some over there. And then if we move over here, you can see there's some over here. This is nearly done, so there's no point in us building more quarries here. So we should check out where this is. And if you look, there's 1, 2, 3 deposits here. That's got 19, that's got 19, that's got 19. In general, these stone deposits have a lot more than 19 in them.
Is there something to
But
do?
as I said, the amount of piles we have does give you quite a bit of stone. So, you know, having it all in 3 separate lumps just means you can mine it faster if you don't mind spending the stone to build those quarries in the first place. And again, that's another debate for another time about what the best efficiency is for mining stone and wood. As with the woodcutter, these guys have said there's no deposits in range. Even if we expanded up here, they wouldn't walk all that way, I don't think. It's too far. Even if they did, it'd be terribly efficient. So the best thing to do, smash those buildings, let the workers turn into normal settlers again, so you're not wasting 4 settlers standing around doing nothing because there's no stone for them to go to. So there we go, those guys will now become part of our 3 settlers again. And then once we gain this area, we'll build new quarries to again keep our stone coming in. And if I can grab you,
Let's get to work.
I will find out what's in this mining area. And if I can grab you,
There's a
I'll
job
find
to
out what's
do,
in
I
this
can get
mining
it done.
area, so we can see what's in the mines. Spoiler alert, there's 2 stone mines here and here. And I'll show you how to do the stone mine, which will work very much like the stone quarry, except mines have unlimited resources beneath them. You can mine and mine and mine and mine, and they'll never run out. As you can see, these guys are moaning because there's no logs. It's just because they're still growing, so they will figure it out that this is available, and they'll keep them supplied. As you can see, we got a notification saying resource found. This little black symbol here is coal. So one of our engineers, which used to be called geologists when they were looking for ore, has found coal. And coal is a basic resource used for turning iron ore into iron bars, or steel bars, or whatever you want to call them, as well as shaping that iron or steel bar into a weapon, into a bow, into an axe. Not sure why you need the steel for a bow when that sounds like it's been made out of wood, but maybe it's just reinforced around the, you know, the whole shaping, and they don't need wood to build it. I have no idea. Metal for a bow, just it's a bit weird, but never mind. they need the metal for the bow. Okay, once you accept that, your life becomes easier. So for our 3 basic weapons, we need a steel bar and a piece of coal, and they'll shape that into the weapon depending on which one you pick. As a default, it's a shield, but you can change that to the bow or axe depending on what you want to build. In general, between shield and axes, there's not much difference. The shield guys have less attack power because they defend and they've got a sword, whereas the axe guys are more berserkers, so they have a higher damage but less health because they're susceptible to attack by not having a shield. Between the 2 of them, there's really not that much difference. I recommend just having all shield just because they'll last longer. You'd want archers behind your shield guys. So my recommendation is to have the shield guys because they'll last longer, letting your archers deal more damage over time. You know, it just makes sense to me that you want your archers pumping out as many arrows as possible, to do as much damage to whatever, you know, soldiers the enemy's using. If they are berserkers, they'll die quicker. If they are shield people, then it's just a case of having a bigger army, because you've also got shield people and archers. Archers also have less health, so you do want a good mix of shield people and archers. You know, so that, you know, your 1 shield guy and 20 archers don't lose to 21 shield guys, because once those shield bearers have cut through that 1 shield bearer, they're going to walk up to your archers and start hacking them to pieces, and archers don't have a lot of defense because they're meant to be long range attackers. Now, one of the more advanced tactics that you will see is that rather than have a unique fit of shields and archers, one of the things I like to do is build quite a decent amount of archers to support my physical melee units. Because if I lose the fight and all of my shield people die, I can always bring those archers back and keep them alive. Whereas with my physical units, trying to pull them out of battle is a lot harder because they're in the thick of it. So if I wanted to retreat, I would lose a lot of those physical melee guys while retreating. Whereas if I want to retreat and bring my archers back, because they have a head start on the enemy from moving anywhere, chances are that they're already out of range of the enemy and they can pull back safely, and I've still got those archers. So once you've built your initial army of archers, you could potentially keep the same army of archers all game
We'll work together.
and run around with your, you're recruiting
I'll head home
your
soon.
physical melee units every time. You do want to be careful though, because if they come behind you while you're trying to retreat and they kill all your archers, then you're completely lost. So, again, that's one of the advanced tactics I don't want to go too much into because it just confuse you. I recommend keeping a sort of average count between the two, just as many archers, just as many melee. You can't go too far wrong then. So, this guy's also found gems, which I'll come to later, but he has found access to our first stone mine. That's on the same basic resource menu, the construction menu, and we need to expand into it first, so I'll let them do that. This guy has also found this, which is iron ore, so that's where the iron is, and I'll show you how to build in just a second. Now I already know, because again, I played this game many hours, there are 2 coal and 2 iron on here, and there are 2 stone and 2 gems up here. Different maps will have different amounts of resources, and it's up to you to balance them out or try your best to get the right balance between what mines you have and how you use those resources. For now, let's build a stone mine. Now, one of the things you need to be careful of is where you're pointing this. So,
Resources found.
we could potentially do this. As you can see, it fits fine, but the gem is crossed out. That's because by building this mine here with the entrance over the top of the gem mine, we would then not be able to build the gem mine because the entrance to the stone mine's there. So you do want to rotate it and make sure that all the other mines can be accessed. In this case, putting this here will allow both stone mines to be accessed, and the gem mine can still be accessed as well. That tends to work quite well there. Again, connect them with the road, connect the road to the main road. Jobs are good in will produce stone.
Resources found.
Just go grab a drink while that builds, bear with me.
These goods are heavy.
This is my easiest job today.
Excuse me.
This is my easiest job today.
I've also got a bit of a sore throat while making videos at the moment because my son loves to infect me. So I'm just popping in this either as well, so bear with me if I sound like I've got something in my mouth. It's because I do. And it's just going to allow me to speak a little bit clearer for you guys.
Is there something to do?
The reason this path isn't complete is because they've chosen this guy to build it, rather than whoever's closest. So he's having to come all the way here to build that path. Now these guys will still work, they'll still extract, it just means that it can't bring the goods back to the path stone. So if this does happen, you don't have to worry, they'll still work and just put stone to one side. It just means that the stone will sit there until they're ready to take it away.
This isn't heavy at all.
Okay, so there you go.
To be delivered
There's
right
one
now.
stone in that little circle bit there. One stone in that little circle bit there. These guys are mown stone until the end of time, and we're gaining stone. So you don't have to worry about the resource being finite. They will keep mining stone and keep bringing it back. Again, that's only 1-2 stone a minute. So in a quick game, you also want to take advantage of this stone over here. Or at least one quarry. Me personally, I don't see the problem with 2. Wood is fairly easy on this game to get, even on this map. So 2 quarries just to mine that stone a little bit quicker, get 2 a minute, as well as this 2 a minute, 4 stone a minute to match your 4 planks. You're doing pretty good. Equal there on both resources there. I think that is it, guys, for the basic construction of basic resources. We have our wood production. We have a few more settlers, so we're not short on people. Although if you watch, our count is getting dangerously low at the minute. We have our stone mines as well as our quarry, so that's all explained. And we've even set up our toolsmith. And we have some basic food production that we don't require, any advanced buildings to do. Fisherman huts make fish, you use the fish straight away. Foragers will get berries, you use the berries straight away. Nothing too complicated about that.
This needs to be delivered
That's
right
boosted, these 2 guys are boosted, our tool maker is boosted, and we're making tools. So that's the basic setup, guys. I can only do an hour at a time on PlayStation, so usually I'd wait the full hour. In this case, I'm just going to end this video early by a couple of minutes, and I'll go into the next phase of building, and we'll decide where we go from there. So bear with me. Tune into the next one if you want more of the tutorial, and we'll cover more buildings and what the next steps are once you've got the basic resources built and growing inside your warehouse. So catch you guys in a bit.